All right, PKN episode 207. Kyle, you wanted UFC talk?
Yeah, I sent you your $5.
Oh,
I was definitely wrong. Cody Garbrandt is not as good as TJ Dillashaw, and now I believe he just never will be. TJ was just ferocious, just all over Cody, and Cody got some good shots in. I mean, Dillashaw's eye looks like a battered housewife, but he won the fight, and that's all that matters. I will say
in the
this:
first round, right?
first round, and maybe 2.5 minutes into it or something. It didn't seem like it took very long at all. It was over. Henry Cejudo beating Demetrius Johnson, breaking his
I
enormous
called
win
both
streak.
of those.
I did as well. I was with you on the Henry Cejudo thing, thinking that he had a good shot. I'll say this: Henry immediately called out TJ, what he did was called out the winner of the main event, which is
TJ.
TJ. He don't want none of that. He don't want none of that.
Mm-mm.
And frankly, neither would. I now see why Demetrius Johnson wouldn't either. That 10 pounds of weight is a gargantuan distance. It might as well be 50 pounds as far as TJ looks so much more athletic, so much more powerful than either Henry or Demetrius Johnson. I don't think either one of them could hang with Dillashaw.
Dillashaw's a beast. Long rumored to be on steroids, by the way. And he doesn't pass the eye test either. He's got the pointy nipples. And I remember,
Passes the USADA test, though.
He does, yeah. TJ Dillashaw was going up against Cody Garbrandt the first time. And I'm sure you know this, but the audience might not. And Cody's like, "You're on steroids, man. You're actually the one who taught all of us how to use steroids." And we're just like, "You fucking bonehead. Like, that is the worst. Like you're the guy who taught me how to do injections. Like, oh, you dick. Like, now it sounds like you're all on roids."
Yeah, I thought that was a good accusation.
Chad Mendez got caught for him. And he was from the camp that I guess, TJ would have taught. So anyway, yeah, I didn't see the fight. I was at a fly-in this weekend and unavailable, but I did see the ends of all the fights, the highlights and spoilers and stuff. And yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. So DJ lost. DJ was the other big fight against Cejudo. But I guess he broke his foot early on, and
No, it was just cumulative. It was over the course of the thing. I'm not sure if it's even broken. It's just swollen, right?
Okay.
I saw him in the press conference talking about it, and they were like, was it any particular thing? It's just cumulative. He was kicking him with the end of his foot the whole fight. I thought DJ won that fight. I don't think they scored his leg kicks very well, and I think they misscored, I guess, Henry's control on the ground, because Henry couldn't posture up and get anything done. He couldn't. He got no punches from the top. Maybe, if anything, DJ did more damage from the bottom than Henry was doing from the top. When he would get him down, he would just kind of under and hug and just try to squeeze him as close to his own chest and lay on him as much as he could. Because every time he gave him any space, DJ's so fucking athletic, he would do this back flip and then pop up off of his shoulders thing and just be up and ready to strike again. It was very impressive. He was. If they fight that one again, I think DJ wins it. I wasn't impressed with Henry Cejudo, and I really did think that DJ won that fight at the end. I was surprised when he's new.
Yeah, also, I can't think of a fighter who's been more deserving of a rematch in the history of mixed martial arts than Demetrius Johnson, right? Like, he broke the record for the most title defenses, right? So there he is. He's the most dominant champion to have ever been a champion, and he lost via controversial split decision. Those are the kind of guys you give a rematch to. But I don't know where I got the broken foot thing, but I saw a little video where he was saying that he was really happy he bought this home icing machine for his broken foot, and I don't know.
It may have been broken. It wasn't holding him back at all. It was just by the end of the fight, it seemed like cumulatively. Okay. I mean, his foot's definitely swollen. It looks awful.
He also said that he didn't enter the fight with a broken foot. They asked him
definitely not.
And he was like, no, it happened during the fight. And that to me was him not making an excuse, just explaining what happened during the fight. Like, if you break my orbital bone during the fight, well, yeah, it's not like you got lucky or something. Part of the goal is not to have broken orbital bones or feet or arms or something. Better technique, better placement. Like, if you broke your foot, then it didn't go right. So
yeah, I definitely enjoyed the fights. There were a lot of celebrities there. Chris Pratt was there. It was cool to see him. He had good seats. I saw, but Nate Diaz is being an absolute piece of shit.
Shocker.
Right?
Isn't that kind of his shtick? Like,
Yeah,
if he wasn't being a piece of shit, like nobody would care, right?
Like
What
I
did he
could go
do?
on.
Was he bullying people?
So amongst other things, they had the press conference the other day announcing he's going to fight Poirier.
Right.
That's coming up. Poirier's number 3 guy, and they're giving they're giving that fight to Nate, which is a great deal for Nate. Nate should be overjoyed with that they're bumping his ass. He's like 8th or 12th, somewhere in there, ranked in the world. But they're like, no, you're a big name. We're going to let you fight number 3. And hey, if you win this, then you're number 3 pretty much, and then you get a title shot after that. You want Habib, you want Conor again? Win against Poirier. Well, I guess at the end of the press conference,
was this the guy who had beaten Conor before?
Yeah,
Yes.
they've each won one. So at the end of the press conference, they announced Conor versus Habib. No one had any foreknowledge of this. Nate jumps up out of his seat when he sees this on the screen behind him and fucking storms out. And then he's like arguing with TMZ outside. He's mad. I don't know if you know, Woody, but the reason he claims he hasn't been fighting the last 2 years is because he has an ongoing lawsuit with his former representation. The reason there's a lawsuit is right before he got the Conor fight number 2, which was massive payday. Let's call it $4 million with points and like purse. He fired them right before he signed the deal so they wouldn't get their fucking cut. So they sue him, of course, because it's horse shit. You can't just, we've been representing you up to this point, and then Dana's like, yeah, man, we're going to get you in that fight. Like, you guys are fired. I don't need you. Well, you needed them every step of the way getting to here, and you can't just fire them. So obviously they've been suing him.
These UFC fighters have so many problems that could be solved by not surrounding yourself with just yes men. You know, because all the fighters around him. He's like, I'm going to fire my whole representative team. So he's like, ho, have you peered through the contract, buddy? Because I'm entirely sure you can't do that.
I'm actually not sure.
Like, no, nobody said that. Yeah.
With Kyle on this, like, if Nate negotiated the $4 million deal, and I don't know if he did, then I feel like this management shouldn't get a cut. You know, if they called up Nate while he was drinking on that boat or wherever the hell he was, and he's like, yeah, $4 million, and they say good, then, you know,
the law disagrees because Nate,
okay.
yeah, because Nate is going to have to pay them off so that he can do this fight. That's what he's decided to do. He's because clearly he's going to lose. And he's been told he's going to lose, I'm sure. So he's just like, all right, I'll pay them off. I'll go back to fighting and earn some more money. And I guess I don't know if they're probably not representing him for the Poirier fight.
So now he's getting $100,000
too. Yeah,
yeah, that'd be great. But he's being a real bitch about this whole thing. He's saying that maybe he won't fight Poirier. Maybe he just won't show up. And then they gave him tickets last night. He called Dana, asked for tickets to the show last night or Saturday night, the most recent show. He didn't show up. He just didn't show up. Just let those seats go empty on a night when they're in LA and there's celebrities there who I'm sure he said no to lots of people. He said he did. So he's just being a fucking asshole. I saw GSP was asked if he would be interested in the Nate Diaz fight. And he was like, oh, I got offered Nate Diaz. I wish I could do his silly accent. I got offered Nate Diaz. That doesn't interest me. I already beat his older brother up. It'd be good money, but I'm not interested. Not good for my legacy.
He's probably like set for life. Like he's one of the best of all time, right? GSP.
I think he is, and GSP is also known for doing well outside the octagon. Like, he's got all his passive income streams sorted out and Gatorade endorsements and crap like that. So I think he is set for life. But
what he did say in his interview is he wants the winner of Conor Habib.
That would be a legacy bump.
That would be good for his legacy.
Legacy. And I don't know how they would do that. They talked about him going to 155, and he was like, I think I could go to 155 because I walk around at about 182, 183 pounds. That's what I am right now. Habib walks around at 195 pounds. That's what he is somewhere right now. So if he can cut to 155, I certainly can. I'm not a fan of those big weight cuts, but I can do it. The only issue is every time I take one of these belts in the organization, I immediately relinquish it, right? And they don't like that. So if I were to go in and beat Habib or Conor and take the 155 belt and then just meh, he
did he say all this?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait, so does he win the belt and then be like, I'm done?
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, well, I guess it goes back to the other guy.
Yeah.
Or,
They're left like cleaning up after him after he comes in and takes one of these champions out. And
yeah, what an asshole way to ruin like the excitement. It'd be like it's like Ovechkin, you gotta be excited after winning the Stanley Cup. How'd it feel? I don't even want it.
Yeah.
I'm going back to Russia. Fuck this stupid trophy. Like no.
Well, that's part of it. The other part
Suck
of
all
it
the
is
air out of the room,
now
PSP
Sidney
asshole.
Crosby becomes the new champion, and everyone knows in their heads that it's really Ovechkin who's the best.
Oh, I guess the Pittsburgh wins again. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Oh,
Yeah,
well, that's
so that's really interesting. I'd like to see that.
they should make like a rule that you have to follow up at least once if you take the title, right?
Well, how do you enforce that?
You can't make that rule.
Unless that like every time they're doing like Michael Jordan style retirements, they're like, I'm retired. No,
Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
That's what
that's
he does.
exactly what he did.
not. Okay, well,
like
it
most
looks-
recently, he was
look
like,
at how much
"Oh."
I know. All my common ideas are like, yeah, and obviously that doesn't work because it was the first thing they mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, the challenge is though that like if you're the UFC, you're like, man, like okay, Conor versus Mayweather, right? That was a one-off fight, but there was so much money in it that it made sense. Conor versus GSP, perhaps the same thing, right? You know, we all know that if GSP wins, it ruins the 155 division because everyone will secretly know he's the best at that. He's the best at 185, and we can assume if he's the best at 185 and the best at 155, where does he fit at 170? You know,
Everywhere in between, right?
yeah, right. So if he does that to the UFC, everyone knows GSP is the man, and you have all these other paper champs who are only champs because GSP didn't beat him up.
Who is the winner in your view between McGregor and
Habib.
and GSP?
Ah.
If that happened.
Shit, I don't know if anybody can fucking beat GSP. He's so goddamn talented. He's so good at so many things. He's such a physical specimen. He's so like focused on what he's doing. like you don't see him doing any nonsense. You don't see him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of those guys who like abstains from sex, but when he's training, right? You know, like he seems like that. He's just so pure and seems like such a good Canadian boy that like I don't know if Conor can deal with that. I don't know if anybody can, even near his weight.
I always pick the grapplers to win, but I'm not always right. You know, there's no one better at like Conor does this thing where he like puts his arm on you and you can't take him down. It's very hard to take Conor down. You know, Chad did it a couple times and didn't win the fight, but I just feel like GSP's different. I think he'll take it.
Is GSP's level of popularity in Quebec kind of like McGregor in Ireland, where like he's immediately a giant pole just because everybody there loves him?
You know, I'd like to know like what the actual numbers of people are, because the thing to me, and maybe I'm wrong about this, it doesn't seem like Canada is as big of a fighting country, whereas the Irish are just a drunk, violent race of people. I feel like every Irishman that exists
Kind of like the
loves
gypsies in that regard.
But these aren't. This isn't. Oh, you know, I'm just trying to get along here. This isn't that Canada. This is Quebec. Like they're kind of doing their own thing over there. Like a lot of them don't even want to be part of Canada. They want to break off and be their own shit. Like I wasn't sure if that was like a regional thing.
GSP was very popular. Some of the biggest gates in the UFC history were in Canada because GSP would fight there. When GSP retired, one of the times, Canadian MMA got less popular in general. Like they were really just into it because of him. So he's a big draw. But you said as much as Conor, and I mean, no one's ever been as big a draw as Conor. He's unique in that regard.
Yeah, you know, when his movie came out, I mentioned it before, but it was the #1 film in Ireland for several weeks. You know, and there were big movies out. Like there were Marvel movies coming out and shit. Like Black Panther.
Yeah, if GSP's film doesn't come out, it doesn't beat the Avengers or anything in Canada. Yeah.
He's really big in that particular country of 7 million people.
The UFC needs to go to Russia. That's what I want. I want to see.
I agree with you so much. I don't know what makes that unfeasible, but something must, because Dana White likes making money, right? Like if he could make more rubles in Russia than he could make dollars in Vegas, he'd do it.
I'm making this up. Is it a mob thing? Right? Is it just too much mob to deal with? Is he like,
honestly,
look,
I feel that too.
Yeah.
I'm like, are they afraid of what might happen if they go there with like are the mob gonna get Conor? Are they gonna like fucking cut his fingers off?
He has issues with the Russian mob too, right?
No, it's the Irish mob.
Oh, but I don't think it's just the Irish mob though. It's very hard to keep up with Conor's mob problems.
Crime organizations that hate me.
They really are.
He beat up an Irish mobster one night, apparently, and it became news. You know, if you're in MMA circles, I guess Connor's an interesting guy. Like, see, that's what makes Connor bigger than GSP is because Connor beats up Irish gangsters occasionally, you know? Like,
all that was rumors spread on WhatsApp. And I don't know that it's untrue. I just know that normally I don't put a lot of stock in that source, but hey, there was a WhatsApp group
It's more
chat.
fun to believe it. Yeah,
I believe it. I'm bought in. Yeah, lock, stock, and barrel.
So, is the UFC not able to go into Russia?
They could.
That's like 120, however, 130, 150 million people.
It is 150 million.
That's
I've
a
heard.
ton. They could explode over there. I'm sure there's a ton of Russian fighters.
And they're into
there's a ton of
fighting.
Eastern Europeans.
Yeah. Some of the best ever are from Russia. You'd think it would be a very good market. I'm making this up, but I really think it's the crime, and they just have a hard time doing business there.
I agree with you. They could put Zabit on the same card and have them both there because Zabit's going to fight Javier soon, and I think that Javier is going to get fucked. I love Javier. He's in my top 5 favorite fighters to watch. Not because of his personality, because that's a bit dull for me, honestly. Mm-hmm. But his style's so cool, dude. He plays like the kid who has Mortal Kombat and just wants to do the cool moves. Like he.
What's his name?
Javier Rodriguez, I think. I believe he's Mexican, and he's just spin kicks and flip kicks and cartwheel kicks and all kinds of silly spinning stuff that you don't see people normally do. You know, at this point, MMA has gotten so perfected. There's a lot. It's boxing and wrestling and like 50-50, you know. You need enough wrestling to keep them off you and enough boxing to knock them out, or vice versa. Enough boxing to keep them from knocking you out, enough wrestling to take them down, right? That kind of seems to be the deal. He's out there doing backflips, and spinning around, and you just. I wish someone would edit it and put some Bruce Lee yelps in there, like wow.
Why is this guy yelling Aspaskarugan when he throws fireballs?
He's real fun to watch. But and I remember a while back he fought BJ Penn, I believe. And when I saw that fight made, I was like, I'm not an MMA expert, but I know that BJ Penn is about to get dented. BJ Penn is not going to be able to sit on his ass after this beating. It's going to be so bad. And sure enough, Javier.
Zabit is the man too, though. He is very badish. I guess, you know, honestly, when it comes to striking, sometimes I can hardly tell the difference between the best of the best, right? You know, who's the shape, the style bender, right? He's this elite striking guy now, Israel something, and I see him and like other good strikers, and they all look like good strikers to me. Zabit is a good striker. He goes and he does some spinning shit. I don't know. We'll see. I want to see the matchup.
It's a terrible fight for Javier. I believe at first he refused it, and they were going to literally fire him from the UFC if he didn't take it. Because Zabit is this Russian guy who everyone looks at him and they're like, oh, he's the next big thing. This is a top 5, top 3 fighter in his weight class, but he's ranked like 13th or 15th or something because he's new. But nobody wants to. So doubly, it's bad for Javier. One, you don't want to get beat by the guy who's technically 13th or 15th in the world. But two, you look at that guy and he's probably going to beat you up.
That's where Israel, whatever his last name is, it's a hard one. The style bender is too. He's like, I don't know, 13th right now at 185. Okay. And you remember the guy, the perfect specimen?
Oh, he fought last
Usain
night.
Bolt.
He got a big hammer on his chest. Like a big hammer.
He just beat Usain.
Wait, who
what the
beat
hell
Usain
is
Bolt?
Uriah Hall, as I meant to say. I don't know where I got Usain Bolt. You know me, but the guy who beat Uriah Hall like a few weeks ago, 2 months ago.
Okay, I don't know that guy.
He was juiced. His name's Costa or something.
Oh yeah, I know Costa. I know what he looks like.
And he's juiced as fuck, right?
He doesn't look real.
The style bender called him out.
Spears.
He's like, that guy's got holes in his game. That's the one I want. I want that guy. And everyone's like, you want him? On purpose? He's like, yeah, I got that guy worked. I could see exactly how I'd beat him.
Yeah.
It made me like him.
I enjoyed the card a lot. I love the UFC. I love mixed martial arts. It's going to be a great year for MMA, I think. There's so many good fights coming up this next card.
A good year.
I really like what's her name? Shevchenko in the women's 135 division. I think that she beat Amanda Nunes when they fought a while back. I thought she won that fight. I thought that she did. And she's got a fight coming up, which I predict her to absolutely destroy her opponent. I don't recall who she's fighting. So, there's a couple good cards coming up.
She trains with Thug, too, right? They're the same camp or something? Am I crazy about that?
I'm not positive about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a big camp. I think they're in Denver. I think they're in Denver.
Yeah. Good stuff going on. We'll see. The Conor Khabib thing... maybe you've never heard me say it before. These Super Bowl fights, they don't always happen. Sometimes the Super Bowl gets canceled, and so I try not to get too excited.
Wait, what do you mean by Super Bowl fight? Go into that in great detail.
I will not.
That's going to be the biggest mixed martial arts pay-per-view of all time. My camera at the moment.
Readjusting.
Excuse me.
Well, UFC. Glad it's so entertaining for you guys. For a while there, it seemed really, really boring just based on your conversations that nothing was going on.
Yeah, I was losing so much interest in it.
Chiz did.
Chiz just checked out. He's done. Yeah, I think he just quit.
We'll see if they can pull him back.
Yeah, I mean he'll definitely watch Conor fight. I don't know how you can avoid that. God, I hope Conor wins. It's just I love legacies. I love
Yankees.
Winners.
He's the Yankees.
He's the Patriots,
dude.
Like I love excessive winners. When people when you're just like when they win so much that they spawn a whole legion of people who hate them because they win so much.
I love people who
spit in your face and then still win. It's
if Conor loses, I know he's gonna be like, I want a rematch. Same place, same save that canvas. Nothing changes. Same weight class, same everything. Let's run it back. Yeah,
and they might give it to him.
They might. Yeah, and
if he loses, didn't he lose his last fight?
Conor? Well, the Mayweather fight. Yeah.
Or no, his last that doesn't count. The other one.
No, the one before that I think is when he beat Nick Diaz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's that's kind of in reference to what Woody was just saying. Nate Diaz beat him in odd circumstances, and then Conor's like roll it back the exact same way, which is saying something because Conor fights at 145 and or 155. He had both of those belts, but this was a catch weight fight. They did it at 170 pounds because his opponent only got like a couple of days notice that there was going to be a fight, so they just both fought at 170 pounds, and he was like, no, the rematch is also at 170 pounds. I don't want you saying that the weight cut hurts you at all. We're going to do it right here where you wanted to be. And he beat Nate. And Nate, of course, is always saying that he won that fight. He didn't win that fight. I mean, I've watched that fight 5 different times or something like that. I love watching that fight. Conor was crippling that motherfucker for the first 3 rounds or something with leg kicks. Nate's one of the toughest, retarded cavemen who's ever gotten into mixed martial arts, though. He has a pain tolerance unlike the other 95% of fighters who fight. Conor was kicking this guy in the legs so fucking hard for the first 15 minutes of that fight that Nate's like limping forward. Come back, come here.
I remember I watched that fight live too because I was super confident early on that Conor was going to be the winner, and then after a while it was just like hitting a wall where it's like, man, he's getting more tired throwing these punches than Nick or Nate is inconvenienced by them. Yes. Or he'd be like, hit me again, whatever. And like, the side of his face, he's got that Bell's palsy look. Like his leg was like bright red. And like after like you see those like leg kicks, and it doesn't register how painful those are. But like if you like run into a coffee table or something with the side of your thigh, like on the corner, you're like, fuck! I didn't know there were so many nerves right there. Like, no, this is a fighter slapping in the same little spot over and over and over and over.
They're excruciating. And
I bet his leg was like purple and green the next day, I bet.
Yeah. You're probably right about the Bell's palsy thing. He's probably got nerve damage in his face at this point in certain spots. I didn't even feel that one.
They say that cardio gives you a better chin, like knockout resistance. And he and his brother are both really known for having a great chin and really known for having outstanding cardio.
Triathletes. Somewhere right now in like South Central Los Angeles, Nate Diaz is on a bicycle, or he's swimming with sharks out in the bay or something like that.
Their hobbies include swimming to Alcatraz and riding their bikes. It's just
Have you heard of that thing that like advanced swimmers will sometimes do, Taylor, where they make the swim from Alcatraz to the bay?
Oh, no, I didn't know they would do that. I thought that was really dangerous.
It's very dangerous, and only the most accomplished swimmers can do it. It's a couple miles or something like that. And there's an extreme current that can suck you out into the fucking ocean. And back in the day, they always believed that's one of the things that made Alcatraz so secure, right?
Yeah, that was the crux of the movie, Escape from Alcatraz.
There you go. He does it for fun.
They even had a boat.
He makes that swim, and you might think that he's like, oh, I made it. No. Then he goes on a crazy bike ride for like 50 miles
around Alcatraz.
Like he swims from Alcatraz to San Francisco, and then Like then he runs to Los Angeles or something stupid. Like he's just absurd.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Does he swim back?
I wouldn't be surprised if he swam
There's no
back.
telling what they do. We might be blowing up the legend a little, boy. You know, he
little,
swims to Alcatraz, then he swims back.
Shark to death.
He gets to Alcatraz, gets within 3 feet of the shore, and says, "Fuck this, I'm going back." No break. Yeah, that's insane cardio.
Yeah,
it is, yeah, and I think that's related to why they're so hard to knock out.
That's exactly and they push the pace and they tire these guys who are like 0 to 60 in 2 second guys. They blow their wad, and then he's still over there. He's still over there. Yeah,
Muhammad Ali did that. He was talking. I forget who he beat. I think
Frazier.
Was it Frazier? And
talking about Rumble in the Jungle when he's just fucking rope-a-doping him, and they're.
Muhammad Ali was talking trash during the match. I want to say it was Foreman, but I'm not positive. And he's like, he's getting beat up. He's getting beat up, and he's like, "Are you getting tired? This is a bad place to get tired." And then he just unloaded on him, and I was like, "Man, imagine being against Muhammad Ali and tuckering out, just needing a break."
It was Foreman. It was Foreman that they fought in fucking Zaire, I think, is where it was, somewhere in Africa, where the Rumble in the Jungle, right? Like. That you ever see the movie Ali with Will Smith?
No.
Oh, it's worth watching, dude.
Okay.
Will Smith does a very convincing Ali, gets fucking ripped, and he does the accent and everything. And when they fight, it's so good, because what happened was Ali goes in there and he befriends the natives, right? He's jogging like Rocky Balboa through villages and stuff. And I can't remember the chant. It was like Ali Boombaye, Ali Boombaye, which I think might mean Ali kill him. Or something like that. He's calling Foreman a big gorilla and like making all these racial like comments about because he's like this dark-skinned big black guy and Ali's light-skinned, and he's going super racist against him with like the natives, and they're feeding into that. Of course, they're not fighting in either. It's not supposed to be there's not supposed to be a home team advantage. When they get to the fight, Foreman stayed in his hotel the whole fucking time. He didn't want to intermingle with the natives. When they get to the
that'd be what
arena,
my dumbass did too.
You can just hear it like Ali, Boombaye, Ali. The whole place is shaking with Ali chants. It's home court for Ali by the time they get to the fight.
I looked it up. It does mean Ali kill him. I was curious.
Yeah, cool.
Yep, it was that chant, and of course some random fucking SoundCloud rapper's name now. It's like these SoundCloud rappers are just taking words and phrases from the ages and turning them into their artist name, making Wikipedia very confusing.
That's funny.
I don't care for it.
Yeah, check out Ali. It's actually really good, and I can't remember the guy who plays Howard Cosell. I don't remember who plays Howard Cosell in that movie, but he kills it. It's probably someone who's been disgraced now. It's probably someone who's not allowed to act anymore.
Do you guys remember the Mighty Ducks movie?
Oh yeah, it almost made me want to play hockey.
So I just linked you to something. So the guy who played Goldberg is not doing well.
Oh no, he looks.
Boy,
how can he be that old?
Well, hold on. Let's take a guess. Don't scroll down yet. Just look at the mugshot of the face.
Okay.
How old is Goldberg? Like, how old is this guy?
All right, based on his look, he looks 50. I would say he looks 50, but like me thinking about when that movie came out, and I'm guessing it came out like early 90s, and he was like 14 or something then. So he should be like 43 or something.
I'm putting him
like
at 40 flat, and I'm going exclusively off where I thought my beard was at 40 flat.
This is a 39-year-old man.
Okay.
Yeah. 39 years old. Very close, Kyle. But this guy does not look
if you
6 years younger than you and 7 years older than Kyle, or a little over 10 years older than me. Like this guy looks terrible. It like made me sad to see like one of the hockey Twitter accounts I follow be like, "LOL, something interesting going on with this," and I was like, "Oh, he's got no cherubic look. He looks like he got arrested a couple of years ago for meth." It says here. I guess things have not gone well.
Oh yeah, that's meth face.
Yeah, he was fat in the movie though.
Yeah, he was. He was quite fat. Yeah, that was a good movie. Was it Emilio Estevez?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Where they're like, he gets caught drunk driving and like gets in an accident or something. They're like, "All right, you don't have to go to jail. you get to a lot of one-on-one exclusive time with some teens. And
It made no sense.
It happened to me. That's what they do. Except I wasn't drinking and driving. I was dropping jelly in the dorm rooms, and they had me watch people's children as punishment.
Well, that's a little different.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
We got a Jello dropper over here. My son.
Hey, Emilio, we're about to go meet all the kids. You want to get out and walk on the pond over to them? Nah, the pond all the kids are on, drive my limo onto it. It's like, no, even as a kid, I'm like, this guy's shouldn't be around children.
No.
He's letting them, he's like, all right, we're going to go play Team Iceland. You know what they should have done 2 seconds after they arrived? They're like, well, Iceland is fielding a team of 31-year-olds, so we cannot play, if you remember that. Like, they were clearly enormous in and Iceland being the bad guys.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Literally, they're like, well, it's a hockey movie for kids. It's got ice in the name.
That's funny.
But yeah, that makes me a little sad when you see those mug shots or like just later in life shots of those child stars. It never seems like they do well. Child stars, like they always seem to not do well. I follow Macaulay Culkin on Twitter, and he seems like a
ghoul,
like just a little bit of an odd duck. You know, he makes some funny jokes sometimes, but I don't know. It's that universal like stereotype that's so true that like there is always something a little up with child stars.
I think that's true of child YouTube stars.
It's getting that because now they're basically celebrities in their own right.
He aged like Cricket from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah. That's funny.
He is a fucking
At least someone's
mess.
fucking my gash. Yeah.
If you got a sixer, whatever.
What is a
if
sixer?
If this guy stumbled up to me,
six-pack of beer.
Yeah, 6-pack of beer. If this guy stumbled up to me and was like, "Hey, I just need a little help. Just I'm homeless. I was Goldberg and Mighty Ducks." I'd be like, keep walking. Just keep walking. Like for no second would you think this guy was telling the truth.
No, that's unbelievable. Poor guy.
Yep.
Dude, I know politics talk is generally not appreciated, but there's been so much shit going on. Like, Trump is now openly admitting that he met with the Russians to get dirt on Hillary Clinton.
And then his son did, right?
Yes, I'm sorry, that his son did. And it's funny, he's like, not that there's anything wrong with that,
a year ago.
but I knew nothing about it. I'm like, nothing wrong with it, but distance yourself. Good call. Yeah, but he always had different lies about it. These lies have evolved from we've never met any Russians to we met Russians about adoption to something else, and now it's like, yeah, we were trying to get dirt on Hillary. That's what we were doing, but it's all fine. So I think that's a pretty interesting development. Manafort's on trial right now, and of course that's hardly what he's on trial for is hardly related to Trump, but they're trying to flip him. Cohen says that he did know about the meeting beforehand, but unless there's a recording, who knows what to go. Go ahead, Kyle.
I was listening to the Jim and Sam show, and they were talking about Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what happened was, I don't think this is old news either. I think this is pretty recent. What happened was this girl that Bill dated in high school and a little bit afterwards and she loved Bill, apparently. Smoking hot, by the way. Like just super hot back in the day. She comes forward with all this dirt on Hillary. It's hilarious. She's like, I came and I was like, I saw him with her and I was like, this can't be the Hillary that I've heard about. This cannot be the woman that Bill is with. She dressed she dressed matronly and she had bad hygiene. She smelled. She had greasy hair and she smelled all the time. Every time I ever met her, she smelled like this whole like expose where she's like laying out how she lost Bill to Hillary and how Hillary apparently had Chelsea so that people wouldn't think she was a lesbian. That was the main reason that they had the kid, apparently, according to Bill.
According to Bill?
Yeah.
You think I put that in her on my own volition? Hell no.
Yeah. I'm shoving Cubanos into
She's a political wife. It's like I don't remember where I heard it. It was like this ex-Secret Service agent for like the Clintons and was like, oh yeah, we all loved Bill. Like Bill was great. And they're like, what about Hillary? Like, oh, terrible. She threw a sandwich at me once.
She threw a sandwich at me once. Yeah, here you go. Here's a link to. This is the first thing I found.
Yeah. Also, the reputable news source, Jim and Sam.
I was trying to find a pretty picture of a young Hillary Clinton, and I'm like, this one's pretty good. I'll use it as my example of, guys, Hillary wasn't that bad. It's an actress playing a young Hillary Clinton in some upcoming movie. It's not really her.
Yeah, she wasn't terrible. She really wasn't. I want to find a picture of this mistress or ex-girlfriend of Bill's because
she's throwing stones.
Attractive.
Let's see if she lives in a glass house. You say she's attractive.
Dolly Kyle, that's her name.
This is the best young Hillary I can find. I've seen it before. You probably have too.
Oh wow, yeah, Dolly Kyle is hot. Was hot.
28 rare photos of a young Hillary Clinton. How many people are clicking on this article? I gotta know.
It's 7 pages.
I like that picture of like Bill when he's standing next to Hillary, and she looks like just a beatnik, and he's got the most enormous poofy hair and the beard. It's in that article you just linked, Woody, like 3 down.
Oh, I'm on.
Like, it's just so funny seeing that guy walking around, and what would that be?
Yeah. What I like, and
60, yeah.
They were talking about how Hillary got a makeover once she became the first lady, and it seemed like Bill went to whoever made her over and was like, make her look like Dolly. Look at Dolly Kyle's hair. Like, she's got the Hillary from like 1994 look. If you scroll to the bottom, she looks like a movie star. Very attractive lady.
I'm gonna show that picture to everyone.
Yeah.
She's more attractive than Hillary, although I thought she was gonna be. No, she's attractive.
She really scroll down to the bottom. She looks very good for a middle-aged woman. I'm sure that's an older photo now.
Yeah, that's an older. She's 68 now. You know, this is
so probably not fuckable.
Not anymore. No.
What's the age where, like, no matter how well someone is put together, you're like, I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't. Like,
well,
like a 75-year-old that's in the best shape up for a 75.
I don't care if they're 105. Tell me about the tell me about the early 19. Tell me about the Great War while I fuck you. It's about how they look, not how they.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, I wouldn't care.
I don't know anyone who holds up to 100 though.
No one does.
Here, but Kyle is saying hypothetically he'd forgive any number if she looked 19.
Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, some stem cell research is going to make 100-year-olds hot.
Vampire. I'd fuck a vampire.
Yeah. I mean,
that's risky business, man.
Is it? I want to be a vampire. I'd love to be a vampire.
Well, they might
Have
kill
you watched any vampire lore? Like, you don't get it by fucking them. They have to bite you.
I think you would get it from fucking them, though, right? Like if
you do have VD, vampire disease. You know?
Exactly. Right? I feel like I serrate my penis a little before I put it in.
Sometimes they kill you, though.
I think it would kill me, though.
Okay.
So you'd have like a deal. But isn't that always the thing with vampires where they're like, oh, I'm going to turn you into a vampire, but then once they get their teeth in you, they just want to keep eating you. And so they have to really love you or want you to be a vampire. I don't know.
My vampire lore is very out of... It really depends on like which lore we're going with, like how you actually become a vampire. I like the idea of them turning me into a vampire, though. I'd love to be a vampire.
They bite your neck, right? And then
it's different in everything. So, and all right, for True Blood, for example, they suck your blood until you're almost dead. Then they feed you their blood. Then they bury you alive, and you come back out of the ground as a vampire. That's how it worked there.
You're right.
In some of the movies, they suck all your blood out until you're dead. You die, but then you come back to life a couple nights later out of your coffin. And then, that fucking Van Helsing has to be down there stabbing you before you emerge as a vampire. But then, let's see, Interview with a Vampire, I want to say that you just had to drink some of the other person's blood. Like if anybody gets some of this in them, they become a vampire. It seems
that's pretty easy.
Yeah, right? So it's always different depending on the lore and what film you're watching. But yeah, I'd love to be a vampire, especially like a True Blood.
Wouldn't like the no daylight ever thing get old incredibly quickly? Because
That
like you
also
wouldn't like all
depends
of
on
your
the
old
lore.
associates, you wouldn't be able to. Well, I mean, like let's go with like traditional vampire shit. So like the sunlight is in, because I agree with you. If the sunlight thing isn't a factor, that doesn't seem like a downside to being a vampire at all. You can just walk around and not have to eat food, and you live forever, and you can probably like jump really high or whatever the fuck.
I think if you put some super sunscreen on, wear a couple layers, get a sun hat and some goggles, you're good. But if that's not the case, that has to be the case. There has to be some level of sunscreen and or clothing that like gets you out in the open during the day.
Maybe. I don't know. I assume you can't. You can't.
I wouldn't mind. I just moved somewhere where there was more darkness or gloom which are things I enjoy anyway. You ever see the movie 30 Days of Darkness?
I enjoy darkness and gloom.
Yes, I'm big on gloom.
Yeah, I have seen 30 Days of 30 Days of Night, I think.
Yeah, it may be. I love that movie. I can't think of the guy's name who's in it. Josh something or another. Josh Hartnett? That doesn't seem right. But that's a really cool vampire movie. You know, they go to that town where it's going to be fucking nighttime for the next 30 days because it's up in near the top of the world. That's a cool premise. And those are scary vampires. I wouldn't want to be one of those vampires with like the feral teeth everywhere.
No, you want to be like the suave, cool vampire who still looks like just a really pale human.
Oh, and sexy as fuck, right? You ever see Interview with a Vampire with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise?
I think I've seen that before.
Antonio Banderas, and the little girl vampire, who's an adult now, obviously, because that was like 1990 something. What's her name? She was the redhead from Spider-Man 1. With the fucked teeth.
Yeah. Yes, with the fucked teeth. Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst. Yeah, Kirsten Dunst.
Whatever.
She's like, in real life, like 11, 13, somewhere in there, like I'm a little girl. But she becomes a vampire. So she stays a little girl forever. So now she's this murderous little girl who can never like get fucked or anything. And she's super mad about it. It's great. It's great.
That would suck. See, like the big thing about becoming a vampire is you'd want it to be on your own schedule. So if they were like, all right, Taylor, you get to join the vampire club, council, whatever the fuck, I'm going to be like, all right, well, hold off for now. You need to give me, because my understanding of vampirism is that, like, if I'm a big fat person and they turn me into a vampire, your body's not changing anymore. You're a big fat person now. Like, that's just the way you look. So you need to make sure you got, like, a new haircut. You're, like, shaved perfectly. Like, all of your grooming is done. You need to make sure you're shredded. Like, you want to be, like, you want to be way in weight when you get bit. You know, they want to be tasting the whatever flavor protein powder you were having out of your blood. And then you can eat whatever you want. Or, shit, can you eat whatever you want as a vampire, or can you only eat blood?
As much blood as you want.
No, but I mean, like, if I want a burger, can I eat a burger?
I think the deal is that you don't want a burger anymore. You just love blood so much. Blood now becomes like strawberry milkshakes all the time. You're just like, I eat nothing but milkshakes now, and that's what makes me powerful and strong. Wonderful.
Wait, so if you're out and about for like a social function, you're a vampire, but you still work because you're becoming a super powerful business mogul with your eons of life.
Sure.
You got to go out with non-vampires, like for like a nice social night of like fancy dinner and drinking, but you can't let them know. So you're saying you can't eat, and if they're like, oh, you know, we're all gonna have some rum and coke, and one for the man over here, you know, if you take a sip of that, or if you have a sip of water, are you gonna be fucked?
No, you gotta be. Yeah, I think you would be fucked. In a lot of the movies, it seems
like to sit there with a cup of blood, and everybody's just sitting there pretending they don't smell pennies.
Mary. No, you get yourself a Bloody Mary. That's your drink, of course. You want to host a lot. That way you can like have your own bottle that you're pouring over there. Like, I don't think you would like the vintage. As you're pouring, you're like, that looks thick.
Does he think we don't know he's drinking blood every time we're with him? It stinks in here. It smells like pennies. It smells awful. Yeah. It smells like post-period sex in here, and he's gallivanting around with a half-full cup of blood. I don't want to say anything. You know, of course we're going to agree to whatever deal he proposes. He's drinking blood. Like this is a crazy person, and you come back in. Have we come to a deal on our business venture? I will give you to the count of 3. A 1, 2,
That's the best monster. Werewolf is awful.
Werewolf is boring. It's too feral. There's no duplicitousness. It doesn't seem.
Once a month you become a monster, and you're like out of control, and you potentially kill the people you care about the most, right? You got to chain yourself up somewhere, and you never know when some smart ass is gonna stick his nose in your business with his silver bullets and shit. Yeah, it could happen anytime. Like swamp. What else is there? The Swamp Thing or something like that. Frankenstein.
That's too niche. I feel like that's just one guy.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
There's not like a bunch of swamp fiends, but like the werewolf, yeah, like that's inconvenient. Like, I'd rather be not special at all than be a werewolf. Think of how many pants you have to buy as a werewolf. You're bursting through entire outfits. Yeah. Or you just have to look like a schlub walking around in sweatpants all the time. That would be a shitty one. I'd rather be a vampire for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Vampire's sexy. Vampires got all, and depending on which movie or which book, you've got cool powers, right? You can sort of do like a Jedi mind trick on people and control them. They slay pussy. Like ladies seem to really like the vampire thing. You're a little pale, but whatever.
I already am. Who cares?
That looks always popular anyway. It's not like, you're gonna fit right in. And, and think of the interest, the compounding interest over time. That's great too. You don't have to worry about
you wouldn't even have to be financially that savvy. You could just make a few very small and conservative investments, and then for the next 100 years, just be like, I'm going to go around the wilderness and explore, kill the occasional person, drink their blood, but it just should be neat. Grab a vampire buddy, traipse around, and then you just show back up, and you have a ton of money. Like, you wouldn't even need to be Mr. Brilliant. You could just
I'd bite all
life.
my friends. I'd bite all the people I like, whether they liked it or not. I'd be like, you're a vampire now. I didn't want to be a vampire, Kyle. Tough shit.
Now I know
You're going to be managing me for a long time.
I have some very long-term investments for you to watch over.
I didn't want to be a vampire. And then that's like where that closeout music of Curb Your Enthusiasm would play. You're just...
I've said this before, but man, it would be so easy to accumulate a lot of money as a vampire.
We were just saying that. We were saying how you wouldn't even have to be smart.
No.
A couple conservative little investments, and then forget about it for a century as you're exploring the world, doing other stuff. You could do it in any
century should seem like enough. I mean, just put some money aside. Half a century goes by. A lot of people have a good amount of money by the time they're 65. The problem is they're 65.
And you're also, you're thinking of yourself as a normal person who could live forever. You're a vampire. You're regularly killing people and eating them. You just rob them blind, right? Drain their checking accounts and stuff like that. Then you invest that money.
How do you get away with it, though?
Well, you're eating people.
Right.
You got to make
Jeffrey
sure you
Dahmer
get away
got
with
busted.
Jeffrey Dahmer was a moron, though.
How did he end up getting caught? Did he get caught with the body parts in his house, or was that John Wayne Gacy?
They all got caught with body parts. So one of the things that I remember about Jeffrey Dahmer is he had kidnapped this guy, and he had drilled a hole in his head with a power drill, and he was dripping muriatic acid into it to make him a zombie, like a sex slave. The guy breaks loose and is running down the street with this hole drilled in his head. Retarded, basically, now. He's very confused because of the drilling. 2 cops drive by. Hey, what are you doing there? What seems to be the issue, sir? He's like, help! Jeffrey Dahmer comes up. And he's like, oh, hello, officers. This is my boyfriend, which makes them very awkward because it's like 1980 something or whatever. And he's like, he's a little drunk. I'll take him home and see to him. Well, you see that you do. And don't let folks see him out here in his undies. It's uncouth.
Get out of here, homo.
That's exactly what went down. He took him back to his house and murdered him.
Yeah.
See, if you're a vampire, though, it's not like you're eating your landlord, right? You fly into Baltimore, you eat a couple people, rob them, drain their accounts, and then you fly off to fucking San Diego.
You have
new
to
identities
move all the time.
Yeah, you're a vampire. What do you want to settle down?
Yeah.
Work a 9 to 5?
No.
Are you immune to bullets and stuff as a vampire or not?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, then the best place to go would be super densely populated high crime areas because you could just get away with tons of blood drinking.
This one's got some crack in the blood. I like that.
Yeah. You start to develop a problem.
Being able to turn into a bat would ruin paramotoring for me. This is so lame.
It'd be more fun, though. That would never shut down.
Now you're a bat.
I think you'd have so much more maneuverability.
Yeah.
No setup time. And you wouldn't just have to do it outside. You'd be like, I'm going to fly into the East Sunroom real quick, grab something. Just,
yeah. The East Moon Room.
Oh, yeah, no sunrooms.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Sunrooms would be unwelcome.
Yes. Yeah. I would love to be a vampire. That's definitely my go-to. Immortality, shape-shifting abilities, some
I'd
sort of
miss the
Jedi
sun,
mind
though.
trick. Nah, you throw in a bunch of sunscreen and a welder's helmet, go out if you want. But like, the night is your friend, especially if you go up somewhere really high, near one of the poles where you get those long extended periods of darkness. It'd be great. Go to fucking one of those Nordic countries somewhere where they get like, I know they're not as high up, but maybe they get a week or two of darkness. You're just chilling all the time,
I get
24
a little
hours
depressed
a day.
though if like I don't get my sunshine. Makes me happy to get outside.
This would change you though, because if you got sunshine as a vampire, it would be excruciating and you would die.
Yeah.
Maybe
So you might like walk out into the sun for like a little bit and be like, oh no.
Well, okay, I'll admit I stopped liking the sun, but I don't know that I'll stop desiring the sun. Maybe I'll wish that I was a person again.
You could probably get some like mood lighting in your house, like some of that natural, some of those natural light bulbs, so it always looks like, it's daytime. I'm sure you can get some.
Or you can move to the Middle East and pretend to be a woman,
That'll
and then
do it.
you always have to wear a burqa, and no one will suspect a thing.
That's pretty good idea.
This is pretty smart.
Jesus.
This is very smart, and no one's going to suspect you. And just have.
I was about to say, like, well, what about when fashion changes? You're going to live forever. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, that fashion trend's pretty consistent in the Middle East for as long as I know.
Thousands of years.
Yeah. You're okay for a while.
The Saudi Arabia, summer 14 collection. And of course, they're talking about 1014.
All the 14s, really.
For the 1900th consecutive year. Yes.
Yeah, I can't think of any other monster that I would prefer to be or any sort of creature really. Like it'd be nice to be an X-Man, I guess, like some sort of mutant. Like not any.
Not if you're a shitty one though.
There were shitty ones. I remember like watching the cartoons, and a lot of the X-Men is an allegory for racism or homophobia and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's ham-handed. I remember the cartoons as a kid.
Very
They'd
much
be
so.
like, just because you can look at things and blow them up doesn't mean I should fear you. And it's like, it absolutely does. Like, he's looking down too much and his glass is falling off from this whole place going up.
Yeah.
Like, he should be locked away.
There's like these roaming gangs of like anti-mutant civilians who are like going around basically lynching mutants, right? Like the KKK, but they're after mutants. And there's this like frog boy who's in an alley, and he's like, I can't even do anything. I'm just a frog man. And he's running from them. And I was like, oh my God, he's just a frog man? Like he can't even ribbit or jump really high. He just looks like that. And that was the deal. He couldn't stick to walls. He couldn't ribbit. His tongue didn't come out and grab shit. He was just a frog man.
He was just deformed.
Yeah, he was just terribly, terribly deformed.
I only have the downsides of being a frog man, which is no girls like me.
And my skin dries out if I don't keep it moist.
And the more tap water I drink, the more bi-curious I'm feeling.
I have to change toothpaste.
Yeah.
That was actually one of my topics. Did you see what happened to InfoWars? They're
taking their videos down or something, right?
They're banned from YouTube, Facebook,
Spotify,
and iTunes.
Yeah.
Like all
That's
within
all right. We'll just
day.
start up the Alex Jones streaming network.
He's
24
fucked.
hours
I'm sure
through
it's
the day.
He's pretty much telling everyone to buy bone broth so that they feed their gladiator. He's just trying to get one last cash infusion out of this thing.
Oh, he'll get his own streaming service. That's all
his own website will blow up in popularity. Like he won't be as popular as he was before. It's really fucking creepy seeing like different, ostensibly, companies suddenly come out and like do all this banning all at the same time in like a synchronized way. I don't like seeing that at all. He's been doing this shit for like a decade plus, and like to see these multinational giant media conglomerates that control the way you discuss things online all the same day at the same time go, nope. Like
I think it's not the same day, but
so calculated.
I don't know. I don't think they're coordinated as much as they are like.
For sure is.
I think it's more along the lines of like, I wish I could do it. I wish I could do it. Oh, they're doing it. Let's jump on board. Oh, they're doing it. We'll jump on board too. Like YouTube, for example. They gave him a strike for some sort of hate speech thing that he did. And then they waited 6 months because 2 strikes is a bigger deal. It would make him pause to give him another strike. But they waited till the first one expired. And then he got 4 strikes in a row on his different videos. But they like collated them. Like they combined them, I'm looking for, into one strike so that he wouldn't have his channel taken down. and they waited 6 months so they wouldn't be able to not upload. And YouTube was really just sort of bending over backwards so that it wasn't a real punishment. And then now, like it just, the dominoes fell one after another.
Yeah, gotta love the end of free speech.
Woohoo!
Is that how you see it?
Absolutely.
I think it's really dangerous for companies that control all of your ability to speak over the internet when they can start, doing things like this. And what I think is clearly a coordinated effort, like that. If it was a terms of service thing, he's been doing the exact same ridiculous, stupid shit. I don't even like Alex Jones' point of view.
I don't either.
He's been doing this ridiculous shit for 15, 20. He's been doing it for so long. It's like they could have done this way before, but it is kind of.
He made suggestions to shoot Robert Mueller. I've heard it pronounced Mueller and Mueller.
I need to hear his words.
Yeah, I need to hear that because
there's no words. He mimed it. He did finger guns, or I don't know what the fuck he did. I don't know how you mime it.
That's okay.
I'm not gonna defend his actual positions and what he says as rational or a valid perspective on things, because I don't think most of it is. He's a broken clock. He's going to be right a couple times a day and wrong a lot more than that, I think. But it's just the principle of it, of these companies that basically have monopolies on our ability to converse about things online are now shutting down en masse the ability of people to kind of get out there. So
he said that Mueller is a demon that he'll take down or he'll die trying. That the word is demon doesn't actually have sex with children. He just controls the rings where people have sex with children.
Okay.
And
that's what he said?
That he mimed that he was going to kill. Yeah, this is hate speech.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like him saying that, but I also don't like seeing him totally deplatformed. Yeah, hate speech is free speech.
But Nazis, it's against YouTube's terms of service. Are they not allowed to have terms of service?
No, they're allowed to, speech? but when they can define hate speech as whatever they want, it's not going to be a fair.
Well, making up lies and calling people pedophiles pretty legit. That you should be able to ban for that.
I can get behind that kind of thing. Like that, I don't like that. I didn't know that he was just baselessly calling everybody pedophiles because I don't want to watch a show. Mm-hmm. But I still, even if I disagree with him on everything, it's pretty creepy that they can take what is essentially the biggest non-mainstream media thing out there that's still really big, because he is pretty fucking popular, and shut that down across all mediums.
Yeah,
I'm still split on it.
I feel like he's not a close call.
I just like freedom. I don't have the fact that I hate what he says makes it all the more important that it's defended. That's how I feel about flag burning, right? I despise flag burning. There's a part of me that wants to say no, that should be illegal. And when we find someone doing it, we should do something awful to them. Then I'm like, wait a minute. That's why there are free speech laws, because it's to protect the minority from the majority. Yeah, we all agree that's fucking stupid. Yeah, we all agree it's disgraceful, but that's why we have free speech. He should be able to say whatever he wants, even if it's a lie.
Free speech doesn't okay. So not long ago, we were in this agreement that you can't compel companies to support, for example, the gay wedding cake, right? And now we're compelling YouTube to spread Alex Jones' message.
See,
no, we can't. It's a private company. I'm not saying that we can change it. I just don't like it. I don't agree with it. It's legal. I'm not saying that what they've done is illegal. I'm just saying it's immoral.
Yeah, it's definitely immoral. It's not illegal. They can do what they want. It is little bit of a conundrum, because I totally see the inconsistency you're talking about, Woody. I agree with you, actually. I do think that you have to look at some things on a gradient, and I think that comparing one independently owned bakery to a multinational corporation that uses government structures that are tax paid to maintain their monopoly, places like Twitter, places like Twitter's actually one of the companies that's not on here, but YouTube, Google, Facebook, they control so much about public discourse. And so I think it's definitely more serious for them to be shutting something down than a bake the cake kind of thing. But I am trying to reconcile that and think through it, because I do see internal inconsistency there. I agree with you.
I can also see, when something gets big enough, like YouTube, allowing them to control the argument, to lay out who can talk and who can't, gets a little dangerous. It almost seems it's
very dangerous.
On the other hand, this to me is not the case. This guy's out there calling everyone pedophiles and say they're running sex slaves, and he's making shit up constantly, calling He's attacking individual parents. These are not public figures, but parents of Sandusky children who were murdered in kindergarten. And like he's going against not just public figures, but big guys, small guys, little guys in between, making shit up to line his own pockets. Like that's what this guy does.
I don't like it.
So when I say, yeah, you know, if YouTube starts quashing the next Arab Spring, then they're not, you know, wielding their power responsibly. But this is not irresponsibly wielding their power. This is.
I think it's selective. You know, they've singled him out. I think the televangelists are worse. I think that, like, you know, go listen to Joel Osteen for a little while. Go listen to one of these big televangelists, and you'll see that they spread hate speech on a weekly basis. They blame hurricanes and fires in California on homosexuals and Jews.
They're nasty too. Politically hard to touch, but so is Alex Jones.
Yeah. I don't like it, but I support his right to do it. I think that's where I stand on that. And I don't like to see them sort of silencing him. But I don't think he can. I think that works to his favor. I'm sure there's a shit just hit the fan kind of thing going on over at Alex Jones Incorporated or whatever. But I bet he comes out of this with his, you know, like a streaming service of his own, or he finds somewhere to be the exclusive hub for him, or he runs it out of his own website or something like that.
No, I guarantee this is the beginning of the end of his influence, because people are not going to leave mediums that they're very comfortable with. The interface, the use, like YouTube, like the way you have to think of it is a lot of these aren't as crossover networks as you think. Like people think, oh, the same people who are going on Infowars.com are the same people watching the content on YouTube, or the same people watching it on XYZ site he hosted on. It's like, no, for a lot of fan bases, the way it works is this segment of his audience consumes it through this one medium. And when they get rid of YouTube, they will no longer watch it. They'll find something similar that they also like.
I think Taylor's right. I think that we even have a model of it. I think that Milo is a shadow of the influence he had during the election.
Oh, that's different. He is Milo himself became disgraced.
No, he has Facebook still, I think, right?
Yeah, Milo still places, but like
without Twitter and without Milo's, everyone kind of blackballed him and
deplatformed.
He got deplatformed. I think that happens to Alex Jones too.
But it's not like the Alex Jones specifically one I have a problem with, like as much. It's like the fear I have for what's coming next. Like this is the first of many dominoes of censorship that's going to come down. Like it's not going to stop with Alex Jones.
I hope that XM gives him Sirius XM gives him his own channel. It'd be huge. Do that. Howard Stern's only got a couple more years on his contract anyway. You need somebody like that. Joel Osteen has a channel on there. Oprah has a channel on there. Stern's got 2. There's all kinds of crazy shit on Sirius.
They're not going to give him. They're not going to do it at all.
I would. If I ran Sirius,
I think Taylor's right. I don't know with any confidence, but I just feel like he's so toxic. Everyone, I don't think it was a coordinated effort for these companies to all drop him at once. I think it was more of a, here's our chance. You know, if iTunes is doing it, Spotify can get away with it. Facebook, I'm not sure about Facebook, but I think Facebook too. And I know that YouTube are all just like, well, we'll do it as a group. There'll be one outrage, and then we'll be done. This is our chance.
That's coordinated.
Not if they're not talking to each other, you know. Like if I'm on Twitter, I'm thinking right now, like maybe I'll jump on board this too, just so that like I'm 1/8 of the attention instead of all of it.
Maybe it was just how quickly it all rolled out that it's like. But you're right. That's why companies would, collaborate on something like this, is because the PR from people who dislike it is going to be spread 4 ways.
Damn, Alex looking good with a beard.
Is he? Do you have a link?
His head gets rounder every time I see him.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to his Twitter. I guess he responded to this 7 hours ago. It's a 230-minute long video that's uploaded to Twitter there. But I watched the first 30 seconds of it. We've been shadow banned for years now anyway. So I don't know. I just noticed he had a beard there, and I saw it was 230 minutes of content, so I clicked off. But yeah, I think he'll be fine. I think he's bigger than we give him credit for. I think when you look at like Howard Stern being able to bring his enormous terrestrial audience over to Sirius proves that someone who's got that big of a following can do it. Sirius had 400,000 subscribers when Howard jumped on board. Now they have 30 million, and a large percentage of that is about Stern. It's not I've got the service. I scan through the channels daily. There's not a whole lot else going on over there.
I mean, honestly, like
Shade
the only thing that makes me think they might pick it up is because Sirius is on a downward trend as far as like their popularity, and they the people at Sirius, like they know they're not stupid. They know that they are on their last legs as far as the availability. Like even SiriusXM is old school now. It's like, oh, it's not on demand content. I have to wait for other stuff. Like I can't just go.
You say?
Yeah, it's not the way like YouTube or podcast apps are. Like you can't just go there and select an episode of one and play it, can you?
Yeah. I've got the app on my phone. I've got it on my my computer. Anytime I want, I can go and like listen to the days like Jim and Sam or Stern or whatever. And there's video now.
So it's a hybrid. It's almost like a DVR, right? Like if it's gone live already, you can listen to.
Okay, so the app itself, you don't have to. It's not like the way it used to be, where you have to just turn it on and then you're listening to whatever's on that channel.
The way Taylor describes it is how it works in my new truck.
Yeah.
That's how it's always worked for me. Is like when I go, I'm going to go to the
that is how it'll work in your vehicle. You need the app. So, but see, you can link the app to your truck with Bluetooth or auxiliary, depending on what your technology is, and then select the episode you want to play and then play it that way.
Okay.
I like even so, like that's more impressive than I thought it was. The fact that it doesn't allow you to do that in cars, I would wager that the majority of users aren't using the app; they're using the car module, just because most people end up getting it because
that's what I do
with their car.
I just listen to whatever's on.
But they're not going to win this battle against podcasting, where you don't have to pay. It's free. It's 100% on demand. You can download it, have it ready. Like they're not going to win this battle. Like even though they're still growing, like I think we looked at these numbers, they're not growing at a replenishment rate.
I bet they grow if they added
their
Alex
numbers
Jones.
are inflated because like they have partnerships with people like Hyundai.
Is Alex Jones that popular? In my world, he's just a goof.
Enormous. Yeah, he's very, very popular. So he like to Kyle's point, they know they're losing Howard, and they are going to be up shit creek when Howard's gone. They're going to start letting go people like Jim and Sam because
I hope not. I hope that I really hope not. I know that guy on Shade 45 whose name escapes me. He's a black guy. Shade 45 is Eminem's channel. Shade 45, and he does interviews with all kinds of enormous stars. He gets people that Stern can't get. He does a lot of really, really big interviews. I'm sure he's quite big. He's just not my demographic, or I'm not his demographic, I should say. And then aside from that, there's not a lot else. Like Jim and Sam don't have their own channel. They're on Faction Talk, which is a channel that has Craig Ferguson has a show on there, and Craig Ferguson's show is garbage. I tried to listen to it. I've listened to a dozen or 20 hours of it or something, because sometimes when I'm up early, it's what's on. But man, it's shit. Craig's not funny at all. He's so out of touch with reality. Howard Stern is more in touch with like reality and what's going on in the world right now than Craig Ferguson is.
Where is Alex Jones big? Am I missing it? Is he big on radio?
He's on 160 radio terrestrial stations across the country, and he also is his streaming numbers are large, I've heard.
Okay.
It's like 15 or 20 million a week.
I looked him up on YouTube, and he's getting like 16, 17 million a month, which is good, but I mean, it's not that remarkable.
Yeah, his main audience, because he started this so long ago, is terrestrial radio.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, he's killing it. And if he went on to XM, I think he'd be incredibly successful. That if I run Sirius XM, I'm after Alex Jones right now. He's down in the dirt. He's potentially worried that the FCC might come after him now. Who knows? Like what his fears are. If you could give him,
if they hired him right now, he'd be the biggest show on XM by a ton.
I don't think you're going to beat Stern. Stern's
all this hype around him.
I'm a Stern fanboy. I'm always going to be on Stern's side when it comes to something like this. I just feel like he's gargantuan. But The Expanse, that show that you like was on Sci-Fi, Woody, now it's on Amazon. I don't know if you saw the show makers talking about how excited they are. They're like we're not constrained to 42 minutes an episode anymore. We can curse like sailors. This is in 4K now. This is going to be a much better show. We're so excited about season 3 or season 4, or whatever is about to come out on Amazon. Now I'm going to have to catch up. When I heard that, I was like, oh, they've got the right mindset going into the Amazon platform. They're they hit 3 nails right on the head. Like, now the episodes are going to be as long as we want. Now we're going to curse like sailors. And nudity. That was the other thing. Now we're going to have nudity. We're going to have terrible language. We're hour-long episodes.
Yeah, and throw in some extra violence, and I'm really excited.
4K. Yeah. 4K titties and blood. Oh my! All right. I'll get on board with this.
I like The Expanse.
I'm going to have to get on board with The Expanse. And then the last little tidbit, because we're over an hour now. Patrick Stewart coming back, getting his own Star Trek show, which is great because the current Star Trek that's out there, it's known as Star Trek Discovery, the one that's on CBS. I refer to it as Star Trek Diversity. Fuck that show. Refuse to watch that show with its nonsense. Jean-Luc Picard is going to come. It's so much. We could do 2 or 3 hours on that.
Your only complaint so far has been that it's not all white people.
No, they're shoving diversity down your throat and a lot of white guilt being thrown around, even though it's like the 23rd fucking century. It's I just and they made the Klingons look goofy as hell. They completely changed the way the Klingons look. This is some nerdy shit. I get it, but we're talking about a new Star Trek show and Patrick Stewart coming back. They're gonna make it like he's been gone for 18 years roughly. Like that's when the last Star Trek movie happened. I think it was 2002, so 16 years. They're making this 16 years after the last time you saw him. So I don't know what the premise is going to be, but I could imagine like 2 or 3 premises that would be great, right? What if he's a teacher, like at the Academy,
Starfleet Academy,
and you've got him as like the teacher, but you also follow the students, right, and all the hijinks they get up to learning to be Starfleet cadets, and maybe there's a big emergency where you get occasionally Picard goes off and does a cool thing. That'd be okay, a little boring. Maybe you just give him his own ship again and bring Worf back, and they all have a good time. I'm excited about it. I'm
see what they do.
I love
see
that
what
guy.
they do. I like him, but I always thought he was a little bit of a theater geek. You know,
he is. He absolutely is.
Yeah.
He's a classically trained, amazing. I love it when he sings.
I know. I want my like captains and such to make me think they weren't theater nerds in school.
A little more grisly.
Yeah.
A little more weathered.
He's such a good actor. I watched like I remember watching a video and they're like it's like something trailers, one of those things that's like true trailers or something like that. They show you like they talk about like what a show actually is, not just like what they pretend to be. They're like a series that gets an actor that's far too good for it. And it's just like they like
honest trailers, I think.
He's such honest trailers. That's what it is. He's such a good actor. I love Patrick Stewart, so I'm excited to see him back. I hope they don't fuck it up. Although I saw that the executive producer from Star Trek Discovery is going to be executive producing on this, so maybe I'll just be soured.
I'm not normally one to fuss about diversity, but I will say, in Hamilton, it's a little distracting. Right? Like, there are no white people playing our founding fathers. None. There's not a single white founding. The only white person in all of Hamilton is the bad guy who plays
King George.
King George, yeah. I almost called him King Arthur. Yeah. He's the only white guy in the whole thing, and he's great. But
when in reality, the fucking taxes they were levying on us were to pay for all of the expense that they sent saving us from the French.
Yes, I've heard that perspective just recently, actually.
That's true.
Yeah. I never heard it like that, though.
But still, fuck them. Yeah.
Well, there was taxation without representation, kind of. Like, we didn't have an equal vote in this. So, there's a thing there. But probably was mostly
hindsight's 20/20.
You know? Like when our armada came and defended you. You weren't voting against that, were you? Dirty colonies.
It's like, well, I mean... Then the French ended up helping us out.
I sure
So
did.
Let's call it a wash.
Yes.
A wash where England loses badly.
The first of many. Not the first, I'm sure, but one of many. All right. Call a wrap.
Yep.
PKN 207.